Hello, my name is Owusu Keja. I'm an Assistant Chief Statistician working with the Ghana Statistical Service. I specialize in labor statistics, and I'm going to talk to you about economic activity. In this recording, I want to provide you with the knowledge and skills to enable you obtain and record information on the economic activities people were engaged in during the 7 days before the census night. Human capital is critical to the production of goods and services in the country and requires that adequate information on the economic characteristics of the population are obtained. Therefore, we cannot conduct the 2020 population and housing census without considering labor statistics. The economic activity section of the 2020 population and housing census is going to be one of the main sources of labor statistics in the country. So we need to count the number of people who are either employed or unemployed, as well as those that do not fit into either of those two categories. The labor market questions are designed to collect information about people's participation in different forms of work, their sources in finding employment, their type of work, their working hours, and many more. The questions in the economic activity section will be administered to persons 5 years and older and will identify those who worked in the last 7 days before the census night, talking about the period between 22nd June and 28th June 2020. The form and type of work they did, characteristics of the employed and working population, as well as the unemployed population. For the employed population, we will get to know the hours of work, the occupation and industry type, status in employment and sector of employment. We will also be able to understand more about the unemployed population and their characteristics. All this information will help in planning and taking key policy decisions and interventions in the country. In all, there are 12 questions in the economic activity session. And to be able to understand the questions in the section and be able to fill in the questionnaire properly, it is necessary to understand 3 important concepts. I'm talking about the concept of work, occupation, and industry. And this is what this recording seeks to achieve. Please look at pages 7 to 9 of the main questionnaire, and I'm referring to PHC 1A questionnaire for references. On page 7, you will see the questions on work. Work refers to any activity performed during the 7 days before census night that contributes to economic production of goods and services. This means that the work engaged in during the reference period must be economic in nature. Examples of these activities could be selling in the market, selling in the streets, working in an enterprise or in a business, working for government, working in one's own farm or enterprise, working in a household member's farm, selling roasted plantain, operating mobile money transfer, and several other examples. This means that work could be done in small establishments like Afia Pukua's bakery, Tijani's bicycle repair point, or you could say Babe's cocoa joint. Or these activities could also happen in big establishments like Ejura Farms, Ghana Statistical Service, or Congo Primary School. It is important to note that non-economic activities are not to be considered as work. And here we could cite examples as household chores, including sweeping, taking care of one's own children, or fetching firewood for one's own household. The interest is in productive activities and not non-productive activities such as self-care activities, talking about learning, activities like begging, and so on and so forth. On page 8, you will see the questions on occupation. The occupation describes the kind of work that was done by the respondent within the reference period. The main occupations is that on which most time was spent when the respondent tells you that he had 2 or more jobs. Describe in as much details as possible the tasks and duties actually performed. Remember to provide a description that will ensure that you are in a position to assign a sales-digit occupation code. Do not provide a title and make sure you avoid vague descriptions. The term laborer, for example, is unclear. You should be more specific by indicating whether the person was an office cleaner, a construction laborer, a gardener, or a farm laborer. In the same way, designations such as businessman, operator, civil servant, teacher are too vague and must be avoided. They cover several groups of persons occupying different grades and doing different kinds of work. For example, a businessman may be a retail trader in a spare parts or textiles or office machines. An operator may be a forklift operator, crane operator, or drilling machine operator. In the same way, a teacher may be a primary school teacher, a junior high school teacher, or a senior high school teacher. For those who sell food, we would like to know whether they are street food sellers, for example, whether the food is cooked or uncooked, food sellers in the market, or food at the counter may also be distinguished. The distinctions are important in order that we provide the right occupation codes. On page 9, you will see questions on industry. Industry refers to the main economic activity of the establishment where the respondent worked. It is a description of the goods and services that are produced in the place where the respondent works. This is different from the work the respondent does, which we described earlier as occupations. Remember to avoid vague descriptions and provide detailed descriptions that will ensure that we are in a position to assign 6-digit industry code. The following examples may help to understand what industry is about and what you must describe. For a carpenter who makes window frames and is employed by a firm which builds houses, the major economic activity you must write is construction of houses, but not manufacture of window frames. This is because the establishment in question is into building of houses. For example, a carpenter who gives Navida Hotel as the name of the establishment where he or she worked, you must write hotel services as the major economic activity of the establishment. In the same way, the major economic activity of an educational institution, for instance, University of Ghana, Ghana Secondary School, Konongo Odumase Secondary School, should be education, we will need to indicate that the activity is at the primary level, secondary level, or tertiary level of education. This ends our discussions on the concepts. Thank you for listening to this recording. I hope this information will help us achieve our goal of conducting excellent census questionnaires, which will provide decision makers with better data on labor market indicators for better decisions. Thank you once again.